Hey YouTube, this is for Blacktooth Fox, who was asking about it the other day. He was thinking, oh, I've just found a tune-o-matic bridge that's got a Piezo in it. So I've got one of them. This guitar I bought years ago. I looked at my first video of it when I first got it, and it was like 8-9 years ago, something like that. Before I was mad into guitars, I found this in a bargain bin for 20 quid. There's a story about it. I can't bother telling you about it. I'll tell you about the bridge instead. This isn't really about the guitar. So this, so I'm using two cameras just because I'm using two cameras. So you can see that this, when I bought this, the frets were knackered on it. It didn't have a scratch plate or any pickups, and it didn't have a bridge, and I think it was bashed. That's why it was so cheap. So there wasn't really an option to put a bridge in it because the bridge posts were kind of ripped out or something like that. What I think was this was probably a very expensive guitar. It's a Kramer Focus 3000. Look at that camera. No, that camera's probably better. So these are Kramer Focus later on were the cheaper range, but at this point, well, they were the cheaper range because they weren't American. So this is a Japanese, apparently made by ESP. And it had some sort of Floyd Rose on it because it's still got the Floyd Rose top nut, which I've just been messing about with today. I basically blocked the back bit, so you can hear it's you can see it used to have trems. So there's a piece of wood in there. It's through strung like a Telecaster is. It comes through this piece of it's actually it was a lintel that I cut up with the angle grinder, recessed it into the body, and put posts in to hold the tune-o-matic bridge. So it's not not very often you see a tune-o-matic bridge on a Stratty type guitar. It's not quite a Strat. It's a little bit more kind of mangled. Originally I had, this was going to be my do everything guitar, so I think I had a P90 in the neck, probably a single coil in the middle, and actually the single coil I took out this and put into my Japanese Strat behind me. It was an original 70s Fender one with a gold cover on it because I had a gold P90 and a gold humbucker. It also had one of those Artec distortion circuits in it. And the thing about the Artec distortion circuit, it did something to the acoustic output for it. So you could actually use it the way I envisioned it. It was by total accident because it's got like a preamp in it. It somehow made the piezo pickup work with the magnetic pickup, so you could sort of balance between them. This extra volume control here is, I saw Pete Townsend had it, and it's got like an XLR port in the front, because I thought it looked cool. It's just a standard. It's not like a balanced output or anything like that. It's just a stereo cable, or not a stereo cable, a more normal signal in return. So because it had this Artec preamp thing in it, you could just mix between the two pickups, sort of. When you use a piezo bridge with magnetic pickups, you can't mix between them. Even if you've got two volume controls, you're forever, and it's like you're trying to mix between them, and it's like, oh, the guitar volume's too loud, or the magnetic pickups are too loud, so turn them down, 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 and as soon as you start getting close, whoa, suddenly the piezo pickup's much louder, so it's always like like that. Always you get a circuit. I've got a similar problem with I've got a Schecter that's got a Fishman power bridge in it, and it comes with a thing called a power chip, which I've actually got, but it's broken. So you can mix. It's something to do with impedance or something like that. I'm not savvy enough to understand what that is, but you can't just have both of them coming out the same socket. Also, if you're playing an electric guitar, you want to be playing it through an electric guitar amp, in this case the Laney VC15. And if you're playing an acoustic guitar, you want to be plugging it into a PA. Don't have a PA set up, so I'm using the bass amp, which is more like a PA than a guitar amp is. That was why I built a double neck Telecaster that's actually got an acoustic with a piezo in it with one output, and an electric with another output for going into the electric amp. It's like there's always a compromise. So this one has electric strings on it. Ultimately, if you want to get the best acoustic sound out of this guitar, you put acoustic strings on it. But obviously then you would lose the best of the electric guitar part. Yeah, so this was just going to be a jam, but I've ended up talking about it an awful lot. This has, I recently did this up, well, the last time I did a video I looked was May 20, so like a year and a half ago, nearly. And this is like when I finally got the thing working properly after it's made a mess of this pick guard and all that. So it was working. I did have to do a little bit of work on the nuts. Like every now and again, just learn more things. I obviously spent too much time on it and got a bit lost. The nut was actually sitting a bit low, so it was kind of farting all over the place, which was really annoying. Because you just assume, oh, it's got a Floyd Rose nut, it must be right, because it's fitted there. It's like, no. So I unbolted it, put a wee bit of cardboard behind it just to raise it up a little bit. It was just too spanky. So yeah, so you want two outputs. You want an acoustic output and an electric output. Anyway, because you can't balance them. But also, you want, as I said, you want the electric guitar to go into the electric guitar amp, and you want the acoustic guitar to go into an acoustic amp, or a PA, in this case a bass amp. Maybe see if I can find myself a wee acoustic amp, could maybe sit up there. That might be quite good for this sort of thing. I've got a few guitars that kind of do multiple outputs. I could also have done it with a stereo cable. You know, if I put a stereo socket on it, you put the piezo to one to the tip and the magnetic to the ring, or do it the other way around. And then you use like a split, called an insert cable, which is stereo on one end going to two monos, and then one goes into your bass amp, one goes into your acoustic amp, one goes into your electric amp. There is that way of doing it. I also built a very simple pedal, which is actually on the floor down there, but I haven't bothered using just now, which is basically a stomp switch. So it's got two ins and two outs, and it's a stomp switch, and it just chooses which one it is, so you could switch from electric to acoustic just by stomping on the switch. What that doesn't do is let you have both of them on at the same time, so you can't blend them together. My original thinking was, you've got your, well, here's the acoustic. And I thought what you really want to do there is to get it a little bit, as I said, it's coming through a bass amp, which just isn't perfect. But it definitely does have an acoustic ring to it. And I was thinking, if you stick in the, you know, like a bit, you can maybe raise in a little bit of. Actually, it seems to be working incredibly well right now. Maybe it's because of where I'm standing, so I'm hearing both the amps kind of in each ear. That sounds more acoustically than just on its own. That's quite good. Turn it round in a little bit, stick in a wee bit of a track. Dump that. So just a Piezo. Now I think part of the reason the B and E strings aren't as loud as the other ones, but I think that's because I'm playing through a bass amp. The bass amp probably doesn't want to play through that. I might be wrong. So I suppose you could use the magnetic pickup. So you use the magnetic pickups to make up for that. So well. So now we're just on the, I put, as I said, these are Yamaha 8 series, so expensive Yamaha pickups. Volume, a tone for each one, and each one is in just now in collar split mode, so here's the neck pickup. And bridge pickup in single coil. Both of them in single coil. My favourite. Roll on a wee bit of Piezo. So back to just go for humbucker mode now, so we're neck humbucker. Let's go. Actually, humbucker with the tone off might be quite good with the Piezo. You can tell I've not played this enough to really work out what I could do. Realised I'm actually standing in front of the bass amp, or the acoustics coming out of that bass amp, but it's also plugged into that 4x10, so maybe if I stand here, more of it seems to be coming out of that, the mic's there. Bridge humbucker, I suppose, turn off the Piezo. Bit of joy of USG. So you can have some sort of effect on that one, as in distortion on the guitar, and then a clean acoustic. very tempted to just stick bass on there, but I put an XLR output on it. The bass doesn't have an XLR output, so damn it. Single coil bridge. Tune anymore. Good thing is because I've got I had the strings off it a minute ago because it was fingerboard was a bit sort of, well, not so much dry as there was a beat that was out. Also, I'm not sure. I do have a roller bridge, a roller nut, which would fit over instead of the sort of Floyd Rose one that was meant to have the clamps, but the clamps aren't there. The reason I haven't done it is because it's actually held on with 2 screws from the back, so kind of if it's not broke, don't fix it. But that might be something to do with why these. Mind you, it's alright. It's obviously must be something to do with the bridge. The Piezo not being as you can hear it's microphonic because it's Piezo. Also, that could be partly to do. I don't remember it ever really been like that before. These strings are not Elixir strings, and I put them on probably. Well, the last time I saw this was May last year, so these strings are old. Let's be honest, and probably a bit dead, which is exactly what you don't want when you've got a Piezo bridge. You don't notice it with a. Sounds all right there. That doesn't sound bad. I think it might actually be something to do with the bass amp. That's why it's kind of why it doesn't seem to be picking them up as much. But the reason I went for this was the idea of putting, you know, a power bridge in a Strat. Power bridge, well, they used to be, we're going back nearly 10 years when I looked these things up, it was like £400 for a Fishman power bridge, you know, with the saddles that are Piezos, whereas this was like, I don't know, it was about 30, and I bought a gold one because a gold one was like £4 cheaper, so I think the gold one was like 26 or 28 quid, it was like 32 or 34 for the chrome one. I do actually have a chrome one that I bought relatively recently, like about a year ago. I think they're still about 30 quid, maybe a wee bit more, but not more. I don't think they're as much as 40. But like as I suggested there, you really want to have a secondary output for it, like, or I had to build the bridge to put it in. But you know, if you say you did it to like a Les Paul or something that already had a tune-o-matic bridge, I would run a second output for it, or the possibility, as I said, with the stereo thing if you don't want to look, and then I would either, you know, you get your 2 volumes and 2 tones. I would either make the pickup switch work as normal for the magnetic pickups, and then have a volume and a tone for the magnetic, and then a volume and a tone for the piezo, and then just have them like almost entirely separate. You do have to put everything backwards in the electric one, because the piezo, you get 2 wires coming out of it, like you do with anything, a shield and a centre wire. The shield is obviously attached as your earth wire, so it still needs to be earth, but the shield is the earth wire, and it's the opposite way round than what your guitar pickups normally are, so you have to flip all the magnetic pickups backwards to make them compatible. That if you want to share the earth, I don't know if it would really matter if you didn't, if you got it wrong, if you had 2 outputs, but if you were using like a stereo plug or something like that, that would be the way to go. And like I said, I just put this was more for look. Having the XLR thing, if I'd thought about it a bit better, I would probably just have put like a jack socket on. But I suppose the XLR's cool because it kind of locks, doesn't it? I had to make this lead as well because I didn't have an XLR to jack, so I made it, and I made it so it worked. So yes, I'm gonna have to try this in the band. I'd kind of forgotten I had it. It's sort of, I've got a few sort of hybridy guitars. As I said, my Schecter Strat has the Fishman power bridge in it, and it's got a stereo output on it because it doesn't have the power chip, so it's kind of impossible to mix between the magnetic and the electric. You can have them both going to the same jack, but it's kind of an either or, and the volume differences between the two are massive. Actually, it's a very similar problem I've got with I used to have with the double neck. I've got a double neck bass and guitar. You can't really plug a bass and a guitar into the same amp and mix between them because they're very, very different sounds. So you basically want 2 outputs on that as well. I think actually what I did was I had many ideas of using insert leads and stereo and stuff like that. I basically just made it so that there was a lever switch that was just bass, guitar, or both on at the same time. And I figured that rather than having to be faffing about with stereo leads, because if you want to switch from the bass neck to the guitar neck, you'd have to turn the volume downs and all that. So basically I'd switch amps, so I just had it going into an AB pedal. So I was playing the guitar, and then I would just flip onto the bass and then stomp on the AB pedal, which switched it to the bass amp. Ways round it. Just try not to make it overly complicated, because it's very easy to get overly complicated very quickly doing this sort of messing about. I mean, this guitar on its own, without the Piezo thing on it, it's just a nice Strat. Works well with these Yamaha pickups are fantastic. These were ones that I had them. My pal Wayne gave me them. I must have had them for 3 or 4 years or something like that, waiting for the guitar to put them in. Never really found the guitar and thought, well, what's the point in them sitting in a box waiting to get a guitar? Might as well put them in this, and then I can enjoy them. And then if I do find the correct guitar, or whatever guitar I think needs these pickups, I can just put other ones in this. But I mean, they work quite well. Single coil. I suppose this one you can get single coil in the bridge and humbucker in the neck. was actually having a wee think about this earlier on. I've got the MIDI guitar, which is not a million miles away of the way you operate this. It's obviously got a MIDI pickup in it and some controls for the MIDI of the Casio one. And you've just basically got like, actually it's a pretty similar guitar. This, I can't remember when this is from. Was it from about 1980? Well, the serial number starts 6. I think this is about 1986 or something like that. There is a way of dating these if you look them up on the Kramer. There's a Kramer forum, Kramer website page where it shows you them, and it's like to do with this. They only made this shape of headstock for a short time. This is a 3000, and it's like yeah, it's got the cool boxy Kramer logo. Kind of want it. It's also, I don't know, I kind of like the shape as well. So this is before the Berettas and whatever the other ones are, because they were quite a couple of years after this, maybe a year, maybe just even a year after this, they brought out like much cheaper Korean guitars, which kind of were these shapes, but they had, I don't think they had the same sort of shape of headstock. They didn't have the focus thing, which makes you think of, you know, Gibson Epiphone or Fender Squier, but that's not really the case with these. They are quite good. They've got really good necks on them. I had one, I think it might be called an ST something. It was a Beretta. No, there was something other than a Beretta. I think the Beretta was maybe like the original American, whatever his name is, Kramer. Eddie Kramer? Was that someone? Was there somebody from MC5 that's called that or something? Had these shapes which were just kind of like, so I suppose it's got a bit of a better scoot. It's basically just a Strat in it. And then you get the one, you know, the one that's got the single pickup at an angle, was probably a bit more famous for. This one, I honestly don't even know what it looked like. I assume, I don't know, was it a 3 single coils or something? Don't know. It's not been ever since. And I suppose I'll tell you the story anyway. This is actually to get the guy who I fell out with over my painting my BC Rich about a year before that. I was in a shop called The Guitar Store, which was owned by basically Victor Morris in Glasgow, and there was a wee guy that worked in there that I pure hated, that I've talked about quite a few times. It would be really funny if you'd watched this video. Hi, with your Babylon 5 t-shirt. And he was a right little, I don't know, he didn't like me for some reason, I don't know why. And I kind of returned the favour a bit, and I was trying to buy this guitar. It was in a bargain bin at the door. Before Christmas, they used to have, they did all these guitars that were all really dusty and manky. They'd be kind of put in a box at the door, and they were sort of, you know, 20, 30, I think some of them were even less than that money. You know, but ones with bridges missing and broken necks and all this. And I saw this, and it was like, oh, and it was 20 quid without pickup. And obviously the bridge posts had been mashed out, so you couldn't put a bridge in it quite easily. And the frets were absolutely goosed as well. And I had it out. And it was on the counter, and and the guy annoyed me so much. I literally just went, and I just walked out the shop. Couldn't handle it. I just didn't want to give that guy money. He was such a, not very many people I don't like. I really didn't like him. I don't know what his beef was. Maybe I reminded of somebody that he really hated or something, or he thought it was somebody else. I don't know. But I mean, that guy was just a nightmare. There's a few guitars I hadn't bought in there, and I went home and I was at my pal's house. I'd be ranting about it, and then when I went back to see Jim the following week, he's like, "I've got a present for you." He'd just gone into town after it and just bought it for me as a gift, which was nice. So Jim was a nice guy. He was just, he didn't think about things before he did them. But not malicious, just a bit thick, I think. Well, not thick in all senses, you know, quite clever on other things, but thick in that sort of thing. Yeah, my topper. So happy Friday night. It's actually night time. It's Thursday night, so we're getting dark again at night. I figured I'd do this so I can just have tomorrow messing about. And what do you think? Is this annoying having like the 3 boxes with the different stuff in it? I've actually, because I've got a new camera, I've actually got 3 cameras now, so I was thinking of actually, I couldn't be bothered doing it just now, but I was thinking, see, because I've got the oscilloscope, it's like that I can connect into the effects send on the back of the amp. I could have like the oscilloscope and maybe have a camera on that and have like another window, you know, kind of there with like the oscilloscope that's just kind of showing wavy lines, sort of showing what notes I'm playing maybe a little bit. But to be honest, it's kind of feeling a bit like a live stream just now for some reason. Maybe it's just because it's at night time and I'm quite tired. Anyway, rock on, catch you later. See you Sunday on the live stream. I'm not sure what video's coming out tomorrow, Saturday. I've got a couple that I could kind of put out. A couple of ones out in the car. Might do that. I don't think I've got a Scott Saturday. I need to go and see Scott next week. So, rock on, catch you later on. There's t-shirts coming. I haven't. I'm in the process of ordering them. I can get multiple colours, and they're going to say Mad Malco guitars, not just Mad Malco. So, once I do that, you can get your orders in and stuff like that. Catch you later.